This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, thank you. Apologies for the inconvenience. We had some technical problems with the GoTo meeting, so we had to postpone it. And thank you for your patience. Okay, so this is going to be a demo session and on how the actual training is going to be. You can stop me at any time if you have to. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask at any time. And I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you can see it. Okay, to give you a brief introduction about me, my name is Praveena Clement, and I come with about 15 years of experience in uh, automation space, monitoring and automation. Primarily, my job is to make people's life easier. So things that they do manually, I try to identify, and we work on trying to make it better for them in terms of process, in terms of automation, and all of it. And with the current trend, we tend to use Python a lot for this automation. And this training program is for both beginners and for people with a little bit of knowledge on Python. The intention is to demystify Python and make it usable for everyone. Agenda: we will discuss what Python is, how we can install it, and start and run different kinds of code. What are the basic syntaxes? How do you handle variables? What are the different data types? Strings? How do you handle Boolean? Python operators, the and, or, and not, how to use them, different scenarios. How do you handle a list of values, a set of values, and a dictionary of values? We will also discuss conditional statements. Conditional statements are more like the if and else. Iterative statement will be your loops. On the advanced section, we will cover functions. We will also teach you how to write your own functions, basic error handling, how to exit your code gracefully. Practically, how do you read data from a CSV instead of entering it every single time? Not only CSV, very often an Excel sheet is also used. Once you have done all your processing, how do you display your results as graphs? How do you handle dates? When I say dates, it is time zone and different date conversions, and especially when you're reading values from CSV or an Excel sheet. Throughout the course, we would do a lot of hands-on code. The sample code would be taken from one of these areas, basically from website building. How do you run your own website? Sample Python codes from website building, sample Python codes from data science and machine learning, Python code from networking, and Python code in automation. Now, when I say automation, it is day-to-day simple activities can be automated using Python. Okay, coming to the what and why. Python is a language that was invented in Netherlands in the early 90s. It is free and open source, available in all operating systems. It comes pre-installed on the Unix and the Mac OS, and it has to be installed on the Windows. It's a very dynamic interpreted language. Now, what do you mean by an interpreted language? When you say it's a bytecode language, is you do not have to write the entire code well in advance. For example, for someone who is new to programming, you tend to write one section at a time. Python, you can run a selected set of code instead of running the entire program. It executes one line at a time and it does not try to pre-compile the entire program. So it is very useful for someone who is trying to learn it. Moreover, it is a very coherent language. It's not difficult to read. And for someone who has not written the code themselves, for example, if you have to manage a code that is written by someone else, Python is quite easy for someone who did not write the code themselves because it's very, very readable. It's a very powerful language, and of late, it has got a wide scope. Now, when I say wide scope, this specially is applicable in the field of machine learning and data science. When the data is extremely large, for example, the number of posts made in Facebook in a day, that is going to be in millions. Python can handle such large volumes of data. And for someone who is writing the code for the first time, you do not have to pre-declare the variable types or the parameters of the functions or the method. The same code will work for numbers, it will work for strings, it would work for different data types. And also Python has an automatic memory management. So you do not have to worry about memory leak issues. Okay, now here I do have a quote from the creator of Python himself. Python is an experiment in how much freedom programmers need. Too much freedom, nobody can read one another's code. Too little, it is expensive and it is endangered. On a lighter note, life is better without braces. Python is one language where you do not have to put brackets and you do not have to add a semicolon or anything like that at the end of your line. Okay. Okay, now let's look at the different ways of running Python. Python has an interactive shell. Before that, okay, Python can be run from an interactive shell. It is great for someone who is learning it for the first time. And it's easier for someone who's to experiment with the different libraries. In this example, in the section given in blue, when you type print hello world, it actually gives you the output immediately. Now the next line, when you say x is equal to 12 raised to the power of 2, when you put a double into sign, it doesn't mean multiplication, it means 12 square. Okay, square of 12 and then you divide by 2, it gives you the answer immediately. Comments in Python are written with a hash. Okay, now running Python programming. An interactive shell is okay when you want to run one line at a time, but practically you would have to write a code and save it to someone so that you can move it from one system to another. In that case, what you do is you write your code and save it in a file with a .py extension. This script can be executed using the command python space and the file name. Now, if you're writing it on a Unix system, you can add this as your first line, which is the path in which the Python was installed. When you do that, once you give execute permissions to the file, you do not have to mention Python when you're running a .py file. It automatically understands that this script is a Python script and it also knows which Python to use. Okay, before that, During the program, we would install Python. I just wanted to show you a few things. On my system, I have Python installed. One, you can install Python directly by downloading it from python.org. But for all practical reasons, in this particular course, we will install Anaconda. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen. I'm sorry about the spelling. Okay, now I have installed Anaconda. During the course, we would install it together. And then I'm going to open Anaconda Navigator. It takes a few seconds for the navigator to open. Just checking. Yeah. Okay. This is how the Anaconda Navigator looks. As I mentioned in the presentation, you can use the command prompt option or the PowerShell option if you're using a Windows system. But throughout the course, we would use two different IDEs. One is Jupyter Notebook and the other is Spider. Now I'm going to launch one by one. Okay, so once you open Jupyter Notebook, this is how it would look. It directly takes you to your current folder. Now you can go to a specific folder where you want to, and then click on New Python. Jupyter Notebook gives you a graphical user interface for you to write Python code. As I mentioned earlier, Python gives you the option to run one line at a time, and Jupyter Notebook gives you a GUI for it. For example, let us go by the same example that we gave in our presentation earlier. Okay, now x is equal to 12, right? Now print the value of x. You don't even have to write the print statement, just give x and click on run. It gives you the output 12. Now x is equal to x, we said raised to the power 2, return the value of x divided by 2. Print the value of x, gives you the value 72. Okay, now as you can see, it is very easy to learn Python coding, especially for beginners using Jupyter Notebook. Now let us talk about the other alternative, which is Spider. It's taking a lot of time to open on my laptop because my laptop is slightly loaded. Okay, now Spider is another alternative. It's another IDE for you to write Python code. Here, this is, it gives you an option to write multiple lines of code. Okay, and then once you've written multiple lines of code, you want to run that section, you can run it. It gives you the output. Okay, it gave you the output for that one. And you can rerun, you can add some more code and you can rerun the whole temp.py file. Okay, once your coding gets a little more complicated and once you are more comfortable writing multiple lines of code instead of just one line at a time like how you do in Jupyter Notebook, then you can start using Python. Spider, sorry. Okay, so I hope that is clear, and we would, during the course, we would write all our code using these two IDEs. Okay. Now, let's make this session a little more interactive. Okay. Now, I'm just putting in a few inputs. Now, tell me what the possible output can be. Hello plus world. What do you think the output would be? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. I think yes. Okay, so that would be hello world. Okay, now hello into 3. What would be the output?
It's hello 3.
No, it's hello multiplied by 3.
Hello, hello, hello.
That is correct. Hello and just the value 0. What do you think the output would be?
H.
That is correct. Now, instead of 0, if you give -1,
O.
yes. When you give your values in negative, it reads backwards. Okay, now this is one letter at a time, but if you want a particular section of a string, right? Now I have given from 1 to 4. What do you think the answer would be?
It's ELLO.
Actually not. Now, Python always excludes the last letter. Now, in the earlier example, we saw H is 0, so E should be 1, that is correct. L should be 2, L should be 3, and O should be 4. So when I give 1:4, it should technically give me LO. But Python excludes the last letter. When you say 1:4, it gives you 1, 2, and 3. It doesn't give you 4. Okay? Now, this is fine when you know the length of the word. Hello, you know it is 5 letters, so you are mentioning, give me letters 1, 2, and 3. Very often, you do not know the length of the word. For example, names of people. It can change from person to person. It is not going to be a fixed length. In that case, the first step is to find out what is the length of the word, and then you can try to find letters in it. The command for it is length. In short, len. Len, and then you give the value, it would give you the value. Can you compare two words? What do you think will be the output for what you see on screen?
No?
Now, actually, it can compare. Okay, when you compare two values, it will only tell you if it is the same or not. Okay, it tells you that the two words are different. One is false. One is true. 0 is true and 1 is false. Okay, so hello is not the same as jello. So your comparison is actually a false. Not only that, you can search for a particular letter. Okay, does E exist in hello? The answer is true. Okay, now just imagine, I'm not sure if you've written code in any other language. To search for a particular letter in a code, I think throughout school or throughout our computer science classes in the past, we had to write a small program just to search. But here you see Python, you can search just by using plain English. E in hello doesn't look like code to me. It looks more or less like someone is talking. That's the beauty of Python. Okay, we've already discussed about installing Python and how you can run Python. I've already shown you the Jupyter notebook and the spider. Let's take a few more hands-on examples. I don't expect you to know the code. I'm not looking for the syntax. I'm only looking for the logic. Okay, here's a problem. We have two monkeys, A and B, and two parameters, A is smiling, B is smiling. You are in trouble if both the monkeys are smiling, and you are also in trouble if both of them are not smiling. Okay, return true if you are in trouble. How do you think the code would look? Anyone? It's okay, it can be wrong. I do not expect the syntax from you, I just want the logic.
False.
You have the different options on screen. For example, if A is smiling and B is smiling, then the value is true. If both of them are not smiling, then the value is false. If any one of them is smiling, then the value is also false. Okay. Now, if monkey A is smiling and B is smiling, then return true. If not A and B, then return true. Any other possibilities, return false. Okay, the above code can be written just as a single line. You do not have to mention return true, return false. By default, Python will return the value for you. You just have to mention what the condition is. So return whatever is the value if A and B are smiling, or the not of it, which is A is not smiling and B is not smiling. Okay. Do you think you can simplify it further? Do you think you can simplify it further?
No.
It can be simplified further. Now, if you look carefully, you need a true only if both the values are the same. Any other option, then return false. So the same code can be written as a single line. If both of them are smiling, then the value is true. If both are not smiling, then the value is true again. Any other option is false. So your entire scenario can be written in just one line. And you see the code is actually readable. You do not have to be a full-fledged programmer to be able to read and understand what is written in your code. Okay? Okay, let's take a few more examples. Given to integer value, return their sum. Unless the two values are the same, then return double the sum. Example, I'm giving 1 and 2 as inputs. Then the value is 3 because 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 and 2, the value is 5 because 3 plus 2 is 5. But 2 and 2 should give me 8, which is 2 plus 2 is 4, and then double 4, which is 8. Okay, let's look at how the code looks. You define a function where you're passing A and B as values. First, you add those two numbers, okay, and save it in a value called sum. Now, if A and B are both equal, then you double the sum and then you return sum. Okay. Third example, we have a loud talking parrot. The hour parameter is the current hour of the day in the range of 0 to 23. We are in trouble if the parrot is talking and the hour is between 7 or before 7 or after 20. Return true if we are in trouble. For example, the parrot is talking and the time is 6 o'clock. Since 6 o'clock is before 7 a.m., yes, we are in trouble. The parrot is talking, but it is 7 o'clock. We are not in trouble because it's already 7 o'clock. Okay, parrot is not talking, but the time is 6 a.m. in the morning. In that case, we are not in trouble because the parrot is not talking. Let's look at how the code would look. Okay, so we define a function parrot underscore trouble, and we are providing two parameters, talking and the hour of the day. Return talking, return the value if the parrot is talking and the hour is less than 7 or the hour is greater than 20. Can you see it's a one line code for your entire problem, and the code is simple to read, simple for someone who did not write the code. Even they can understand it and they can maintain the code. That is the beauty of Python. Let's go to the next example. You have two integers a and b. Return true if one of them is 10 or if their sum is 10. Okay, now you have two values 9 and 10. The value is true because one of the numbers is 10. You give two values 9 and 9, the output is false because there none of them are 10, neither their sum is 10. 9 plus 9 is 18. 1 and 9, it should give you true because their sum is 10. Let's see how the code looks. You have two values. You return true if a is equal to 10 or b is equal to 10 or a plus b is equal to 10. It's a very simple one line code. Okay, now this is the last example for the day. Given a string, we'll say that the front is the first three characters of the string. If the string length is less than 3, the front is whatever is there. Return a new string which is 3 copies of the front. For example, Java should return the first 3 letters JAV, JAV 3 times. Chocolate, irrespective of the length, it has to return the first 3 letters CHO, CHO, CHO. Irrespective of the length, even if it is just 3 characters, it needs to repeat. Okay, let's see how the code looks. First, you define a function saying front 3 of the string. First, you define a variable called 3. It is just to help you declare variables. We are just declaring it. Otherwise, you can always use if length is less than 3. Okay, just to show you how to declare variables, we are declaring it in front. Now, if length is less than this variable, then you repeat. You take the full length of the string and you add it 3 times. Okay. Now, I think we've come to the end of the session. Thank you so much for your time. And apologies once again to have kept you waiting in the beginning. For further details, you can contact Ryan, who is our course coordinator. His details are mentioned in the screen. Do you have any questions? Anyone?
No, we clearly understood what you explained.
Thank you so much, Nishita.
Thank you, Pravina.
Thank you for your time. Hope to see you in class soon. Let's end the meeting. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
ma'am.
Bye, Pavitra. Bye.